This winter season so far, I decided that I wanted to heat our place with electric heat exclusively for a variety of reasons. And while we currently have two resistive heaters, fixed resistive heaters, that put out about 10,000 BTU per hour, that wasn't going to be quite enough for when it got really cold, like below 20 degrees Fahrenheit outside, to be able to keep up with the heat loss inside the house. Enter inexpensive space heaters. So I bought two of those DeLonghi Slim Style, I think they're called Slim Style, I think, but they're convection heaters. And they have a fixed resistive element in them. You can see it in the bottom, and you can select 3 different heating modes, which basically energizes parts or all of that resistive element. And those are generally on the more expensive side of heating devices. I think basically saying greater than about $40 to $50. Whereas anything that you see that's probably around the $25 mark is gonna be something like this. Is what they call a PTC or a ceramic heater, which is not a fixed resistive heating element. It's a variable resistive heating element. Specifically, these are elements that are inside the heater that operate on what is a thermally balanced mechanism. That is, the PTCs will heat up, and because they're variable resistance, when the temperature goes up, the resistance then goes up for each of the elements. And when I'm talking about the elements, I'm actually referring to these little white chunks that are sitting behind the grill here, which you'll see in more detail once I open this thing up. Once you turn it on, the device heats up really quickly, and then it will settle down to what is the thermal equilibrium of the PTC element and what it's transferring the heat to. So basically all these little metal wavy looking things are heat sinks. They're sandwiched between the PTC elements, but they are also powering the PTC element. They are actually electrically live, as you'll see in a moment. One thing that struck me that's interesting, I kind of knew this beforehand dealing with PTC elements and other capacities. So I knew kind of how the PTC operated in the context of like it being used for a particular function, not just for heating. So when I started looking into these things, I found some interesting claims on the internets, namely the websites that are selling these things. And one of the major things I saw was like, this heater can heat up in 3 seconds, and some can heat up in 1 second. And so I actually picked one that I believe one was 3 seconds, according to their marketing material, and another one that says 1 second or 2 seconds. I'm not exactly sure. It's faster, supposedly, than this one. The way they are able to do that is just jam more PTC elements in there. If you look at the one on the right, which costs less, like about, I think maybe $2 less. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 PTC elements sandwiched in between with thermal compound on either side. On this one, I think there's 16. 1, 2, 3, 4 by 4. So there's 16 of them. And you actually can see, because this thing gets so much hotter initially, they've backed away the thermal cutout. This one on the right has a gap of maybe, I'm really bad at measuring distance, but it's, it's got that much space between it. But then this one, you can see it's much farther up inside there. If that's really important to you and you want fast heating, okay, cool, you'll get that, but it's only by a matter of seconds. And if you look, the amount of material, the surrounding heat sinking material is the same between the two. What happens is that this is just gonna hit its peak really fast, and then it will start to fall back down again pretty quickly to whatever the nameplate rating is, which oddly enough, if you flip the ratings on these things, are the same. At 25 degrees Celsius, 1500 watts. At 0 degrees Celsius, 1650 watts. This one says 1500 watts, again, 25 degrees Celsius, and 1650 at 0. So the output of these is the same, but you might get just a burst more heating out of this one. I was able to demonstrate running this on a, on a kilowatt and angering the kilowatt, because this surged up to, when it was cold, it surged up to, I think it was almost 2,000 watts. I'm forgetting now. The video will show it, and then I'll correct myself if I got it. But it's somewhere between 1,875 to 2,000 watts. in my home, just inside where it's, it was 67 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So whereas this one ramped up more slowly, this one, there was an overshoot where it just surged out a bunch of heat, and then it eventually came back down again and actually was overloading the 15 amp breaker that it was connected to. It's not really the best way to be operating a heater. Now the PTCs, I will say, they're designed to always operate in that thermal equilibrium. So as long as the material around them is properly sized, it will settle back down to a power level that is sustainable. So this one didn't pop the breaker. But if you have an older electrical system in your house, or you may have other things plugged in on the same branch as this heater, if this thing turns on, and you have something that's just drawing, 300, 400 watts, maybe you have a TV or something else, you could potentially pop the circuit breaker, which, you just have to reset it then. But you don't want to keep doing that over and over. If you're looking at PTC heaters or ceramic heaters, I would go for the ones that aren't making crazy claims about how quickly they can heat up, because they all heat up pretty quickly. Let's take apart this one, because this is the one I'm interested in. Screwdriver in here. Ooh, what are they using? No, it's a Phillips. It's just not, I didn't grab it on the right spot. So, it looks like it's just 2 pieces. Did I get all this? That's 1 screw. 2 screws, 3 screws. Looks like these are just self-tappers. And 1 more. Oop, there it is. So, how do you come apart? Oh, that's easy. I see a circuit board down at the bottom. I see this little... So let's take a look inside here. And I see that the switch stuff wants to stay on top. There's all our connections down at the bottom. I do like that they put them all down at the bottom. Oh, I see. This just needs to unclip. Unclip. And unclip. And what else? What's hanging out that's like keeping... Maybe it's this wire. Oh, that's the thermal. Okay. Well, some of this is coming apart. Oh yeah, look at that. We got some stuff. Okay. Hopefully I remember how to put all this back together again. Here's a much cleaner and closer view of the star of the show. And as you can see, there is some thermal grease that was applied on both sides to improve conduction to these fins. It's important to note that the fins, you can see the connections going to each one of these. This is the polarized plug, so this is negative on the US 120 volt system. And then I just come right here. It's not gonna play nice. Is it flipped around? Eek. Did they really wire it backwards? Never mind. I was assuming this is negative because it's black. They're both black because it's just the way the cord's coming in. Okay, so this is the positive side. Makes sense. So there you go. And then on the negative side, which I believe would be on this. Well, negative would occur in a couple places. Here, here, which may not. It may be isolated because it's turned off. No, it's on right now. So we should see negative. Where will we see negative? Here? Oh! Because the foot switch. It's strange that it breaks on the negative side. So it's still live through the whole thing. That's not great. So if I have 120 volts coming in, and then I touch here, I have 120 volts sitting right here on this stage, where it'd be great if it broke on the positive side so that there's just nothing flowing. Anyways, so the foot switch needs to be depressed in, and if we go back to the negative side, which it's breaking on the negative side, if I then touch here, positive, negative, I'm forgetting about the thermostat. There's so many pieces here. So I have it on high, but the thermostat hadn't been activated. So now it's on. A lot of things in series. Power switch, foot switch, and then the thermostat. So now here I should see 0 ohms. This will be not 0 ohms because that'll be the impedance of the PTC, but that's positive again. And then this is negative. Not sure why it's 1.6 ohm. There are screws to remove this whole assembly, so I'm going to take the screws out. I guess I would have liked to have seen the high temp wire that's like rated 130C or higher, but to be fair, all this is underneath the hot bits, so I don't really think that it's really necessary, especially since the hottest this PTC thing really gets up to is about 200 degrees, 225 degrees, maybe 300 before it starts to really come back down again. So 105C wires, like 220 Fahrenheit, it's not seeing that temperature down there. These are really big screws. All the heat is just here going up, but it's got a fan blowing on it. And so if the fan stopped working for whatever reason, it would just cut out on the bimetallic. This is the whole PTC element assembly that's mounted inside this frame of like really heavy duty plastic. I think this is fiberglass reinforced, so it helps keep its shape in the event that it gets a little too hot. Oh yeah. It's got some glass fiber reinforcement in there, which is good. So that makes sure that it maintains its shape. That's a really nice touch. It's a 12 volt brushless fan, 12 volts, 300 milliamps, and that just sits behind here. It's pretty close to it. I guess it's a kind of a bummer. So if this were to stop, man, that's a lot of heat going into that fan. The fan does seem like it also is made of this like really robust plastic. Oh. Yeah, I think this whole thing might be reinforced for flame retardant purposes. I thought maybe the outer shell would be like less, it's not as stiff and rigid and reinforced as this. Even the fan blades are. Well, that's impressive. I mean, if this thing were to get hot, and I mean, when I, block the inlet and the exhaust, that heat doesn't have much of anywhere to go besides radiating up and back out this way. So the fan is going, but it's not moving. It's just hot air coming back at it. Nice that they did that. I wonder what the temperature rating of this fan is. But anyways, the materials seem to be up to snuff. Down here, we've got a little circuit board. It looks like a little switching regulator. So it sits in a little screwed in catch with 2 screws holding it down. And here's the circuit board. And it looks like single-sided board. There's the nasty screw that I just kind of mangled up in there. Let me keep the screws together. Where'd the other one go? Oh, there it is. So I don't think this is an isolated supply. Doesn't need to be. It's got a teeny tiny little transformer, but it's got a, actually I don't think it's even a transformer, I think that's an inductor. Yep, it's only got 2 pads. Real quick, what do we got? Fuse coming in. It doesn't even look like it's full bridge rectified. It's got 2 diodes, then an inductor, an MOV, nice. And then there is there's X cap across line and neutral. Here's neutral, here's line. Oh, maybe line is coming this way and there is a full bridge rectifier? I see 4 diodes, but I don't really know what they're doing. But there is a switcher that is driving, I'm pretty sure it's driving this inductor. And all the capacitors are rated, what? 105C, 105. So that's decent. Yeah, this looks like it's just a buck regulator. 120 volts down to 12 volts. That's it. It's just for powering the fan, which seems a little wasteful to have all this just to power the fan. But when you run this guy, the white one, with the fan only, and you look at the power consumption of this, oof, it's I think it's worth the circuit board and this fan, because it's drawing like 3 watts when it's running this fan, and this is drawing like 17 watts. So let's just look at the final few pieces of, which is this thermal cutout, which is a UL recognized thermal cutout on a fiberglass little substrate thing. I don't see a thermal cutout, which, is it mounted inside this? I don't see one. So the only protection you have from overheating is just this. To be fair, it is a UL recognized part, and it cuts out at 170 degrees Celsius, and it has the bimetal, and then it also has a PTC. This ceramic piece here is the PTC that holds it open until the whole thing's unplugged and reset. This is the only specifically designed safety device, whereas the PTC is self-regulating. If you were to block this, the power consumption will continue to drop. But the question is, does the power dissipated drop quickly enough to augment the amount of heat being produced inside this whole chassis? And ETL tested it to that as well. What else we got? The thermostat, another bimetal. You can see kind of it clicking back and forth. It's held by ceramic disc spacers to provide isolation, because this is all electrically live and it's switching the full load. And then the switch, rated for both 16 amp 125 volts AC and 16 amp 250 volts AC. I don't see any other markings on it. I just see the CQC, CE. Maybe there are other markings on this side. No, I don't see any other markings on it. That's a little strange. Also has like a neon indicator that indicates that it's just been powered on. That runs right from the, what does that run to? It's tapped off the thermostat, which comes through this bimetallic switch, which comes back over to here, which then goes through the foot switch, and the foot switch then goes to the neutral of the power cord. Oh, the final thing, foot switch, which the safety tip over switch, which is ETL listed, and it is rated 16, but in parentheses 12, and then 16 in parentheses 12. So I have no idea what that means. 125 volts AC, and then 125 volts AC, 250 volts AC. And I think there's a couple of rating types that are after it. It's also got a TUV mark on it. But this thing is normally closed, but it has to break all the power that's running through it when it tips over or whatever. These things are really interesting. For as cheap as this is, there's a lot that's packed into it. I did wish it had a thermal fuse. I'm pretty sure that none of these do, because they're not required to. Even the DeLonghi Slim style heaters that I have, the only thermal protection they have on them is this bimetallic cutout. And that's fine, because those are just, honestly, the whole thing's constructed of metal, and there's not a lot of places for the fiery bits to come out. But the construction looks pretty good. I'm impressed with how everything is laid out. Pretty neat. Get to see all the little bits inside. And now I am going to put it back together again. So this should be fun. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.